A craftsman battles for perfection, never willing to give in or walk away. I'm Eric Gorges. I built custom motorcycles from the ground up, using the tools I was born with and skills passed on by countless generations before me. I wasn't always a motorcycle builder. I worked 9 to 5, chasing money and titles, and it nearly broke me. So I threw it all away and started over. I decided to work with my hands to feed my soul, and I've never looked back. I believe there's a craftsman in all of us. Join me on a quest to uncover the skills that built our society, one craftsman at a time. We'll discover what drives the men and women who I call my heroes. We'll learn their craft, and maybe even find some inspiration along the way. There's a part of you in everything you do, your legacy, a craftsman's legacy. Chainmail was the first type of armor built and used in battle. It was effective against slicing and stabbing weapons, but its protection was limited to other weapons such as hammers and maces. Armorers quickly understood that the modification of armor thickness, its design, and materials was vital to the ever-changing modifications of weaponry used on the battlefield. By the 13th century, armorers began to make breastplates, vambraces for arms, greaves for the legs, and other plates for shoulders, elbows, and knees. Today, the plate suit is the most recognizable style of medieval armor, but its practical use is only seen in movies or in live role play. Armorers such as James Gillaspie continue to keep the role of the medieval armor smithing relevant. His authentic designs are not only flawless, but integral to the survival of this very niche craft. Hey, how you doing, man?
All right.
I'm Eric Gorges.
I'm James.
Nice to meet you, James.
Pleased to meet you.
Those things are cool. I dig them.
Well, thank you.
So what are we going to make today?
All right, we're making some European plate armor. In fact, we're going to make something for you.
Nice, nice. Let's go check out your shop, man. I'm
Come
excited.
on in.
Oh, check this out. This is pretty cool. Did you make these?
Yes, I did.
Wow. These are beautiful.
Well, thank you.
How long did it take you?
Well, the one on the right isn't finished yet. Since it's my armor, you know how that is. The cobbler's children have no shoes.
Yeah.
Just never quite gets done.
I get it.
This one took maybe about 6 months.
Oh, man. These are all gauntlets, eh?
Well, these are worth special examination. Except for this piece. This is not a gauntlet. That's a foot.
This is amazing. That knuckle piece here, is that a forged piece?
That's correct. No welding. No welding anywhere.
That's some talent, man. Look at that. That's crazy. How long did it take you to make this?
It actually took me about 3 months to even figure out how to raise something that high. And then to actually pull off one that was successful took longer than that.
What is this called?
Well, that's called a sabaton, and
sabaton.
It's armor for the foot.
This is beautiful, too. Wow.
Yeah, this is my Mark I. This is the first
Mark I.
one of this type that I did. This is something that comes about much later. This I made back in my student days before I'd ever seen any real armor.
Really?
Yeah.
You made this from books?
Pictures. Yeah, the best pictures I could figure out. Yep.
Amazing. They look like they'd be fun to make. Are they, or are they just crazy hard work?
They're both. They're both. Because the thing is, even when, it's like plowing through all the details,
Oh, your hand fits in there. Look at that.
Clumsy armor is really an invention of theater and the movies. If you're going to go fight in this stuff, you want something that's going to allow you to do whatever you need to do. Sometimes when I have a pair of gauntlets on, I'll take a credit card out of my wallet or a business card just to show people how agile, how much
dexterity.
you can do
Man, that's
with
crazy.
these things.
Well, let's get out of here for a little bit.
All right.
All right, man. So explain to me what it is you do.
My specialty is medieval plate armor.
What were you like in school and stuff? I mean, were you artistic and crafty in school?
Well, I was a bookish sort of a child, and I did love history. But when I was a kid, I was more interested in robots.
Oh, sure.
And Marvel superheroes.
Right, superheroes.
Yeah, a lot of that. But the thing is, then when I went into college, I was in a completely different sort of a field altogether. I was into physics and mathematics.
Ah, okay.
So I was trying to do that, and anyway, I burned out on that. So then I went into art because that was the other thing I liked to do. But I wasn't just interested in any kind of art, I wanted to do metal.
Okay.
I found that I really loved metal.
I can appreciate that. I love metal too.
I was in the art metalsmithing program at Northern Arizona University.
Okay.
I had come across a group of recreators who were actually doing a form of like simulated combat.
Okay.
But the thing is, it was like fighting with baseball bats. And so
what do you mean?
They were wooden weapons.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
And they were hitting really hard. And so if you didn't wear armor, you died. You would literally kill each other, you know?
Jeez.
And so you were required to have it, right?
All right.
I didn't like what other people were making all that much. And I couldn't afford it anyway. So I just started making my own stuff.
What was the first piece you made?
Well, actually, I started out doing Japanese stuff because
Oh.
I love Japanese weapons.
Okay.
So I was doing Japanese armor, you know. So actually, my first thing was, I guess I did some kind of a breastplate and I did a helmet.
And when did you decide to venture into European style armor?
I saw this amazing example of European armor, late 15th century German Gothic style.
Okay.
And that just turned me to the dark side. It's like I never could look back, you know.
Do you remember the first full suit of armor you made?
Yeah, and once again, that was basically in the German Gothic style, as best as I could do it at the time.
Yeah.
And boy, did I do some things that I regret. You know, just like, oh man, there's no way to go out and get that thing. If I ever see any of that stuff, I might just like buy it on the spot. So I just take it out of circulation.
I think every craftsman has that that belief in their early work. Did you have any kind of apprenticeship to learn how to do this? Self-taught.
Basically, I looked at pictures and books for years.
All right.
And I did my best to figure out what I saw in the pictures and to figure out how to make that fit on people. And so that's what I did.
Do you see yourself as a craftsman or as an artist?
Well, I tend to have a very old school perspective on things.
Okay.
We've had this notion of fine art that's a 20th century thing come into the picture. Prior to the 20th century, people didn't have that division in their heads.
Okay.
And so when they talk about things, they talk about an art, they are talking about something that requires a tremendous amount of insight and skill and creativity. And boy, creativity is involved, particularly when you're trying to figure out how to do something you haven't done before.
Do you think much about your legacy?
Well, I do. It bothers me because I really have to have somebody that, you know, that I'm teaching.
Right.
You
To
know,
continue on your knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
This show's going to do a lot for your legacy and show a lot of people about what you do. And I'm itching to get to work, so how about we head back to the shop?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So we got the makings for a suit of armor here, right?
Well, the beginnings of one.
The beginnings of one.
Yeah.
All right. Is this what we're going to be making? Is a plate, chest plate here?
That's correct, a breastplate.
A breastplate, and this goes like this,
That's it.
right here.
Yeah. Well, that's an average size breastplate. For you, we're going to have to scale it up some. Because the idea is that that form actually has a function to it. Like for instance, this shape here allows your rib cage to expand fully. And it also provides a shot deflection surface by being curved across here so it doesn't have a flat spot in the middle for a lance or a weapon to land on. First thing we need to do is have some measurements.
So you start with taking measurements.
Yeah, but they're not the ordinary cloth kind. I mean, we'll want all those too. You know, it's like, you know, waist size, neck size, shoulder width, that kind of stuff too. But the problem is that since this stuff doesn't fold or hang the way cloth does, what I have to do is I have to take additional measurements.
You would take these measurements and transfer them to your templates?
Well, yeah, I basically have to make new templates if there's too much of a change. You know, I'd have to adapt the shape a little bit if the body shape is different.
Okay.
If the person is simply bigger, it's nice because then I can just stretch the whole thing out.
All right. This is made up of 3 different pieces. So
That's right.
we're going to start off, we've got 3 different templates here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually in the late 15th century German style.
And what kind of metal is this that you're using?
Well, this is ordinary mild steel.
That's just mild steel.
Yeah.
We've got a piece of steel, and we've got a couple templates. What's our next step?
Well, it's a pretty obvious one, and that is we're just going to trace this thing on here.
So what are we going to use to cut this?
All right, we're going to use a thing called a Beverly shear.
A Beverly shear, so a throatless style shear, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to set this aside so it doesn't get damaged.
Okay. Well, you give it a try in the interest of time.
What's your favorite part of this whole process?
Finishing.
The finishing.
Well, being finished.
Ha! Oh! Finishing it. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's being done with it. Yeah, that's good. There we go.
You want me to get a little tighter?
Yeah, maybe just like get the bottom of that line right there and we'll be done.
All right.
There we go.
So what are we doing here? What's going on?
Okay, I'm marking out where we're going to be forging or where we're not going to be forging.
And this is which piece is this? Is this the middle one or the outside
It's the
one?
lowest one.
This
That's
is the
correct.
lowest one.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is the one that has the little flange on it,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what this is going to be. This will be the flange.
That's what this line represents here.
That's correct. All right, next step is fire. We're going to be using these round-faced hammers. And basically what that's going to do is, strangely enough, on the flat anvil, these round-faced hammers will cause the metal to curve.
Okay. And we're going to have a helper, right, for the torch?
That's correct. Mike Cataldo is going to help us by running the torch. He's an experienced blacksmith. He ought to be able to do okay
Mike?
with this.
Good, how you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm Eric.
Mike.
Nice to meet you. How's this coming?
Oh, that's fine. That's the easy one.
That's the easy one.
Yeah.
So we're coming right along.
Yep.
This
we're
is the
getting
lower
there.
piece, right?
That's correct.
So this is eventually going to go here.
That's correct.
Well, up here. It's a little tight.
Yeah, we need to turn that flange out on the bottom of it.
So right here, we're going to kick this out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a special hammer in your hand.
Yeah, this is a kind of a cross-peen hammer.
Okay.
And anyway, it's a rather extreme form. And what happens is if you use the hammer this way, the metal will tend to stretch in this direction. It'll spread in this direction more than any other. Okay.
There it goes. Look at that.
Yeah, see? So let's just continue on to the next section, and then we'll...
So Mike's going to heat up the next section, and then
Yeah.
we'll continue on, right?
Yeah. Because I want you Start whacking it down. Just work your way that way.
Just keep working it?
Yeah. All right. The hot work is done.
Yeah, how does that look?
Oh, not bad, not bad.
Nice. Now, where are we going to go from here with it?
Well, we'd have to do some planishing, some fine tuning and stuff like that to get everything all nice and blended together.
And we'll do that cold?
Yeah, we do that cold.
I think it's so amazing, you know, just the way these suits of armor are built, you know, and all the techniques that were developed when they did it.
The engineering is incredibly sophisticated. I mean, it's taken me over 20 years to get to the point where I can do what I do.
That's amazing.
And if we get this thing planished together, one of the things you'd have to do is like they would make these decorative flutes.
Oh.
Raised into the metal. But they're not entirely decorative because what they do is if a lance strike hits that area, the lance is going to want to go off of this rounded surface and it's going to want to head for your armpit or up into your neck.
So those flutes knock it away?
Well, basically what those flutes do is they'll kind of cause the lance tip to skip.
Right.
It'll redirect it. It'll start wandering out, you know, so it's like it's going to start hitting a piece of armor before it hits you.
See, stuff like that's just so fascinating. Really, really neat. And right now we still got some hammer marks. So what are we going to do to get rid of that?
Now we're going to do a little bit of light planishing.
Okay.
With a small, lightweight hammer with a slightly curved face that sort of matches the inside of this.
And we're going to do that right here on the anvil?
That's right.
Let me watch you do some planishing here, and I'll get into it too.
You know, so I can feel that. Ah, there we go. See, now I'm in contact with the anvil. You notice how it'll start out tinny, and then it'll sound solid because that face is moving down, you know. We're not trying to dent it or move it around. We're just trying to even it out. It's very, very subtle stuff. Okay, we're getting somewhere close to done.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels nice.
About time for the sander then, I hope?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take it over to the grinder.
Let's get that done. Well, you're no stranger to belt sanders, I know that.
No, I got some time on them, yeah.
Well, so that's basically, you know, it's a standard deal, you know, putting the sheet metal against the contact. Although I think I'm probably going to be using a little bit more of the rubber contact wheel down here.
Okay.
You know, to get a little bit better contour and the flatten up here. This is really great for making knives and swords and stuff like that. But armor has much more of a gently rounded face.
Right.
And so we want to do, you know, we want to like take advantage of that slightly softer wheel down
And you want
there.
that belt to be able to move a little bit
Yeah,
around
just
the
a little
contour,
bit.
not dig in on the edges and whatnot.
Exactly.
So this is coming along good. I mean, that's a really aggressive belt. You know, that 36 in there, you can see it's biting into it really hard. Well, let's keep at it, right? Mind if I try this time?
Oh, no.
We're looking good.
Yeah, it's
Check
getting
that
there.
out. It's plenished out. Look how smooth that is. Gone through a couple different belts on the belt sander. And now we're going to raise a line down the center and put these little, what'd you call them, lance?
Well, I call them lance skippers, but they're flutes.
Little
We call them
flutes, right?
Yeah.
Little freehand sketching.
Well, you know, you just kind of go, you know, look at it, check it as you go, and.
Do you use a lot of scales and stuff when you work? Rulers, scales?
You know, I tend to use more than I know they did.
Yeah.
Because they work so much just by hand and eye, because that would have slowed them down.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you got little holes there. That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Now,
That's a good shop tip, you know, for doing like an arch in something, is to have these little guideline holes, you know?
you can't get too carried away by them. The problem, of course, that we always run into is paper is flat.
Right.
and this is curved. But, you know, and so actually the kind of curve that we're going to wind up with is probably not going to be perfectly like this, but it'll look a lot like it. But actually, perhaps one of the biggest shop tips that I would want to promulgate would be using aluminum foil.
Ooh.
For a lot of things. Because one of the things I'll do, for instance, to try to get the idea of a shape and how it was when it was originally formed out, before it was reduced down, so to speak, is I'll look at a real piece or something like that, and I'll actually cover it with aluminum foil, and then I'll like stretch that pattern around, you know, and pull it apart like a knee or an elbow or something like that, you know, and see, okay, this is what it was before they folded it up.
That's a great idea. And now you're just going in by hand and filling in, connecting the dots, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, you're starting to get a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah.
You mind if I give it a shot?
I was kind of like just going to suggest that.
Oh, great minds think alike.
I was getting tired.
That too, right? A little bit of a trick keeping it on center.
Yeah,
Well, this came along good. You know, we got a nice little defined area there.
right. When we use the sander on it, the grinder, then that'll define it even more.
And now, how do we do these flutes on the side here?
Okay, this is where we use a different kind of a stake.
Oh.
In this case, it's actually a chunk of light rail.
Yeah,
But
it looks like railroad. Well, let's switch out the stake.
All right.
It's a lot of technique, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Although people are always a little bit surprised when they find out how simple the tools are. Yeah.
The tools aren't complicated, but using it is.
Yeah. And this is once again something you kind of see from the blacksmithing heritage and stuff. Is they're just figuring out just how to get the most out of their tools.
We've come a long way. We've got the centers done, the flutes done on the edges, and now we just have to tip the edge in, right?
That's right.
And how are we going to do that?
Start out with this stake here, which looks almost like a blade.
Yeah, it's really sharp.
And then we're also going to use heat.
All right, so we'll switch the stakes out and then pull out the torch, start heating this up and work it over.
That's right.
All right. Well, we've got our three pieces of our chest plate, right?
That's right.
You want to help me put it together here? We've come a long way in a pretty short period of time, right?
Yeah, we have. Usually I'm used to spending a whole lot more time
Yeah.
on something like this.
Yeah, oh, I bet, yeah.
But the two of us together, you know, we actually have something that we can pretty much put it on and use it, with just, you know, a couple more holes, a couple more rivets, straps, we're done. Yeah,
This looks amazing. It's so neat. These flutes and tipping the edge here. And
Yeah.
I mean, it really is so crazy. We did a lot of work, man. So do you think it's going to fit?
Oh, I think it will.
Look at that. Right, like that?
Yeah.
Hit me, go ahead. Get the sword.
All right.
Oh, you went to town. Thank you, man. I had a great time.
You're more than welcome.
I've been wanting to make a full suit of armor ever since I started shaping metal. To me, they're absolutely beautiful with amazing detail and design. And I can't imagine wearing a suit like that in recreation, let alone a battle. It was a ton of fun to work with James, and at least now I have the start to a full suit of armor, even if there's a dent in the chest plate.